I recently made a video going over different mistakes and tips that Dragon Ball collectors in the hobby can take advantage of or at least learn more about, but there was one topic in that video that I was super surprised turned into a pretty heated discussion in my comment section, and that was Dragon Ball bootleg figures. It was such a hot topic that I decided why not rip the band-aid off and make a whole video about it. So today I'm going to tell you why you should avoid Dragon Ball bootleg figures. We do Dragon Ball figure reviews, news, and more here on the channel, so if you don't want to miss out on the hottest releases and special videos like this, make sure you subscribe. So before we kick off this video officially, I just want to make a quick note that a lot of these points are going to be more so related to statues in the Dragon Ball hobby and not so much articulated figures like SH Figure Arts, as I'm not very well versed in the SH Figure Arts world, and I've heard from some of my friends like John's Hobby Room and Drabaz Doug who do collect SH Figure Arts. They say that a lot of the bootleg companies and pieces out there and that I've seen myself are pretty high quality and well worth the money, especially with the prices and some of the older SH Figure Arts. So definitely understand that aspect. I will quickly mention though, with that in mind, that a lot of those third-party companies that make bootleg and accessory pieces for things like SH Figure Arts charge a lot more than what you would typically find for a cheap knockoff of a Master Lease or something. So keep that in mind if that is something that you're interested in. But I digress. Enough about SH Figure Arts. Let's dive into the real meat and potatoes of today's video. I've been on the receiving end of purposely or accidentally buying bootleg figures, and frankly, I've never been happy with the cost, the moral side of things, the figure hunting aspect of it, the aesthetic of the figures. Nothing about it ever really appealed to me. Let's start with the most important part, right? The aesthetic side of it. With bootleg figures, I've had some collectors say that they look good enough, look as good as the real thing, and sometimes they say that they look even better than authentic Dragon Ball figures. This is a completely subjective point of view, but I simply cannot agree with this, and I'm ready to debate the topic. When looking at bootleg figures, you can completely tell that they are made with cheaper materials. For example, the low quality paint on them is pretty easy to see. A lot of times they'll have this very shiny, plasticky look to them, which I find hilarious because a lot of the same people that commend these bootleg paint finishes will criticize Ichiban Kuji or Crane figures for having that same type of paint or style. Frankly, a lot cleaner in my opinion. Let's stay consistent here, huh fellas? The paint quality itself on bootleg figures usually have very low UV resistance, so that means that the paint is gonna fade very fast and very noticeably. On top of that, you'll see very sloppy applications of the paint, maybe blotchy areas, unaligned parts. It's very, very common to see on this. And of course, sometimes you'll just see the wrong colors in general on a figure, which really takes away from the immersion of having a 3D model of your favorite character or form in your collection. Now, you thought I was just going to talk about the paint. You're wrong. The sculpts are a huge culprit as well. The plastics on these sculpts are cheaply made and extremely low quality. These can be easily damaged when handling a figure or if it goes through an accidental fall compared to an authentic figure. Also, they can warp super easily. I used to have a bootleg version that I was scammed out of, by the way, of a Master Stars piece Super Saiyan Trunks figure. And when I got him out of the box, his sword hilt was already bending and ripping right out of the sword. On an authentic version of that figure or most figures, that takes a lot of force and effort to get that sort of bend and ripping out of. Besides that, accessories on these figures usually look off or misaligned or they're just not fitting right. It really does remind me of something like the Master Lee's Vegeta from Super Decisive Battle. Every bootleg I've seen of that figure, his scouter just isn't on his eye properly. It looks like it's about to fall off of his face. Of course, the supports for these figures are a lot cheaper and usually do not fit correctly on them, so there's also a concern for balance and displaying them properly. Speaking more on the materials that are used to make these figures, Did you know that they could possibly be toxic? When officially licensed figures are made, Bandai has to remain compliant from different safety regulations that are held against them. That means that not only does the environment that their employees that make these figures need to be safe, but the actual materials that are made and put onto these figures also need to be safe when they're delivered to consumers. Let me ask you, have you ever bought a legitimate figure and smelled like a very concerning, almost toxic smell from one of them? I don't think so. Many bootlegs are made with lead-based paint, which can be pretty concerning if you have a lot of them and have been around them for some time, or if you have little kids that might touch or be around these. Also a big concern. There are other cheap materials out there that these bootlegs are made out of, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce and read these on the screen here because I don't remember them off the top of my head, but you got phthalates, cadmium, but other ones that can pose plenty of health risks that are commonly used to make these cheaper figures. Now, the obvious criticism with these bootleg figures are the poor likenesses. Many times these figures have strange faces or proportions. It's a meme, really. A lot of us usually, if we see a badly made authentic figure, a lot of people will just say, I thought it was a bootleg because it looked so bad and so weird. So it is a very common thing to see a bootleg just look completely off or just a little, uncanny valley in their appearance. And sometimes you'll go on a website like AliExpress or Temu or one of these websites that commonly sell bootleg figures, and you might see a picture that looks fine if you're actually looking for a bootleg figure. And then when you get it in person, it looks completely different. It doesn't look like the image at all. Speaking of misleading sellers, a lot of bootleg sellers are bad actors. And you know what I'm talking about. A lot of times they're going to post a listing of, say, a Masterlease figure with the actual production image of the Masterlease figure, pretending and posing themselves as selling the authentic thing when in actuality, they're selling you a cheap fake. So that's basically going to bait in prospective buyers, maybe looking for a real figure. Maybe they don't know any better. They're new to the hobby or something. And then boom, they get fooled. It's happened to me. These sellers can sell these fakes off, delete their account, make a new account, and just repeat the process over and over again. Or even worse, they can successfully sell these to people who maybe don't know any better because they're a new collector, and then just keep getting away with it time and time again. This can be super damaging to people who are new to the hobby. So if you're the type of person that continuously supports bootleg sellers, that only means that more of these are going to go out in the market and possibly fool more people. Now, let's talk about value. You and I spend our hard-earned cash on this stuff. Now, if you're like me, you may not really think about the value of your collection. Maybe that's not why you're in this hobby. Maybe you just want a Dragon Ball collection that has all the characters you want in it and looks cool in whatever way possible by whatever means necessary. But hey, there may come a time where you want to sell off your collection, or at the very least, downsize it a little bit and get rid of a few pieces. When it comes to bootleg figures, they hold zero value. A majority of buyers are not going to want to buy them from you, or at the very least, they're not going to want to buy you at the same value that you bought them at before. On top of that, your credibility as a collector is going to have a stigma behind it because you have bootleg figures in your collection, which might deter people away from buying from you. It breaks trust completely. Think about it. If a seller sees that you have bootleg figures in your collection and you're trying to sell off certain figures, they may not completely trust that everything you have for sale is legitimate. There are actually different Facebook groups, websites, other areas that will completely ban you if they find that you're selling any type of bootleg figures. So keep that in mind, and frankly, you're probably just better off donating them to charity or throwing them in the trash. Speaking a little bit more on value, if you are buying a bootleg figure as a placeholder until you can afford an existing figure or until they make a figure or form that you've been waiting on, you're frankly only adding additional cost in the long run instead of how much it would cost to just get the one real figure. For example, one of my buddies on our Discord server had a bootleg of Zarbon in his collection as a placeholder until he can go and buy the magnificent Masterlease version. I won't say how much he paid for the bootleg, but after he eventually replaced it with the Masterlies, he did admit that he should have just waited so that way he could afford the Masterlies sooner instead of spending some money on a bootleg that looked far worse until he got the real deal. Don't give in to FOMO. Wait. Every time I've waited for a new Masterlies to be created or until I could afford a figure like the Super Master Stars Piece figures, for example, I have to save up and buy those. I've been rewarded every single time, and I feel rewarded. I feel better being patient, budgeting, taking my time until I can properly afford these figures. So don't give in to the FOMO, guys. I've gotten plenty of comments as well that, oh, some people can't afford modern Masterlies figures or something. And this is one of the biggest copes and lies that I've heard regarding this topic. Masterlies figures, for example, at least the modern ones being released, are not really that expensive. They go for an average price of about $40 to $60 on average for a brand new release. There is no reason why you can't budget and save up for one of those ideal, best looking, best quality figures instead of going and spending close to even the same cost for a bootleg version. Sure, you can spend less money and get more figures buying bootleg figures. I can't deny that, but I guarantee you that the one legitimate piece in your collection is going to stand out and look far better than any of the numerous fakes that you have. So it's also a argument of quantity versus quality. Now, some of you will probably argue that, well, Matt, what about the older Masterlies figures like the Greatest Saiyan or Dragon Ball Memories? Those prices are ludicrous. Well, how am I going to get a blue Vegeta in my collection if that one is $1,500? And hey, I totally understand, but for the people that were patient, like let's take the Omnibus Ultra Majin Buu, for example. He goes anywhere from about $250 to maybe $400 on the way high end on the market. For a brand new Majin Buu, last one prize, never came out in America, was a strictly Japanese figure. A lot of people were either saving up to get him, or a lot of comments that I saw were, well, maybe they'll make a new one day. Well, guess what? In January, we have a brand new version of a Masterlies Majin Buu coming. So people that were patient are being rewarded. He's only going to be $100 if you get his Ichibancho version. So again, there really is no excuse. If you're patient, they'll likely remake or make a new version of it like Super Saiyan 3 Goku or Majin Buu, or you can save up and eventually get the real deal. There's also the obvious take on this, right? You don't have to buy these brand new. You could go and search for an open box or just the figure without the box out there, and you'll probably find the prices start somewhere from 10 to maybe even upwards of 50% off from the brand new market value. So you're gonna have to do a little bit of work. You can go on websites like Mercari, Zen Market, Buy. You can go on eBay and find used items for pretty affordable prices. Look, here's a Daima Super Saiyan 4 Goku from Omnibus Cross that I found. Open box, has his box, $30. Come on, guys. And if none of that resonates with you, then you can at least go and get a Crane figure. A Banpresto figure costs anywhere from $20 to maybe $30. And they're pretty good nowadays. A lot of figure series are up to snuff. I just reviewed a GX Materia Gohan, the newest one, and he's basically a Masterlies figure. So I just don't think it's a really good excuse. I think people are just impatient and don't frankly know how to run a budget. My final point of the video is the morality and the figure hunting side of things. I know this part is super subjective and is based on what kind of person you are, but just hear me out. Buying bootlegs does not support the Dragon Ball IP. You're not only stealing from Bandai, you're also stealing from Toei Animation, you're also stealing from Shueisha, you're also stealing from the Akira Toriyama family who owns the estate, but more importantly, at least to me, you're stealing from the sculptors that work their asses off to make these figures. When you buy these figures from Bandai, you're not only telling them that you want to see more of these from them, but you're also signaling to them that you'd like to see more of whoever worked on these pieces from them. How do you think Varuk, Joe, Iwakura Keiji, Rikyū, Hiroyuki Nakazawa. How do you think any of these guys became as notable as they are today? That's because when they made their figures, people bought them, and that signaled Bandai to give them more work, give them a better budget. We would have never gotten stuff like Team Ichigan, the Master Stars Piece series, the GX Materia series, if we didn't support people like Varuk and Hiroyuki Nakazawa. I love this hobby and I want to see it grow. And frankly, that comes from supporting genuine product. I'm not here to defend a giant company like Bandai or anything, but this is just the truth of it. And really, if you do want to see more high quality figures or the best characters or whatever out of Bandai, they're the company that is going to have the best resources at their disposal versus some random Chinese bootlegger that's making this, out of their house or something. This would also encourage more new talent, new sculptors to enter into the industry if the industry itself keeps growing. And frankly, what's the point of getting a bootleg if you didn't actually go and hunt for it or anticipate it? You guys see me react to new Ichiban Kuji announcements all the time. That anticipation, that excitement comes from patience, comes from waiting for this stuff to come out. And then when we are able to actually collect or get it, whether it's myself or someone in our Discord server that's sharing it, it's a huge celebration. It's an accomplishment. So like I said in my previous tips and, mistakes video, it's not like you can go and buy a fake Charizard card and feel the same excitement and enthusiasm and value than if you got the real one. But hey, with all that being said, I'm not here to gatekeep this hobby. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life or how to collect Dragon Ball. I just wanted to give you my rebuttal, my side of this argument, why I'm completely against bootlegs, and I felt like this was the best way to do it. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, guys. If you did make it this far in the video and you enjoyed it, then please leave a like. If you didn't enjoy it, leave a dislike. Leave a comment down below. Let's talk about it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you want to see more videos like this. Please join our Discord community with Dragon Ball collectors and enthusiasts that are just like you. There's a link in the description below that you can jump on in for free. And if you do want to support this channel even further beyond, you can consider becoming a YouTube member. That way you can see videos like this early, among other perks down the line in the future. But I think that's all I got for you guys today. So till the next video, I'll see you all later.